Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking on a country that, well, it presents one of the most compelling paradoxes in the iGaming world. I'm talking about Austria.
Right. On paper, it should be a digital betting powerhouse.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Affluent, tech-savvy, right in the heart of Europe, but its online gambling market is structurally constrained, highly restricted, and really struggling to function.
To put it lightly.
And we're here to take you right into that friction point. We are the Gambling Databases research team. We're a group dedicated to delivering these in-depth analyses of the global iGaming landscape.
And in each country report, we explore key aspects like, local regulations, taxation,
Mhm.
the player experience.
Operator conditions, emerging trends, all of it. Our mission is to give you a clear, data-driven understanding of how this industry actually works inside each market.
And today, what makes Austria so unique and
Ugh.
so complicated?
So let's start with the basics. The potential seems massive.
Oh, it's undeniable. You're looking at a mature market, 9.1 million people, with a high median age of about 43.6 years. But the real story is its affluence. The GDP per capita is, what, $58,669? That's 13th highest in the world.
So we're talking about a very wealthy consumer base.
A very wealthy base. And they have the digital plumbing to back it up.
Right, the connectivity.
Absolutely. Internet penetration is at 95.3%, and mobile subscriptions per capita. This is always staggering. It's 147%.
So more phones than people.
Many more. And crucially, the government's committed to 100% 5G coverage on the main 700 megahertz band by 2025.
Okay, so here's the conflict, the thing we need to unpack for you. With all that money and all that tech, why is the total regulated gambling market valued at only $3.31 billion?
And why is it governed by this incredibly restrictive state monopoly?
Yeah, why is the legal framework itself actively holding the market back? Okay, let's get into this regulatory maze.
So the system is all governed by the Glücksspielgesetz, which, everyone just calls the GSPG.
It's a GSPG, right?
It's the foundation. And it establishes a federal monopoly for certain gambling activities. But it's inherently complex because authority is split.
How so?
Well, federal law covers things like online casinos, but then sports betting falls under state-level jurisdictions. It's a split system.
And that federal piece, that one exclusive license for online casino games, that seems to be the critical element here.
It's everything. That single license is held by Österreichische Lotterien GmbH, which operates the Win2Day platform.
So that's the only legal online casino in the entire country.
Technically, yes. And here's the date everyone needs to remember. The license expires on September 30th, 2027.
So it's not just a renewal date.
No, it's a ticking clock. It's the moment the entire market could be reshaped.
But the moment you look away from online casinos and lotteries, it all just becomes a mess.
A fragmented mess. That's sports betting. It's a massive market everywhere else in Europe, but in Austria, it falls to the states.
And there are 9 federal states.
9 states, and historically only 5 of them even permit licensed sports betting. So you get this crazy patchwork of regulations.
So if you're a big international brand, you can't just launch nationally.
No way. You'd have to deal with 5 different sets of rules just to cover a fraction of the country. It creates these massive barriers to scale and basically ensures no strong national betting brand can emerge.
Outside of the monopoly, of course.
Outside of Win2Day.
And who oversees this whole thing?
It's the Federal Ministry of Finance, the Finanzamt Österreich. They're the regulator, the tax collector, and this is the crucial part, they're also a shareholder in the monopoly operator.
That sounds like a pretty big conflict of interest.
It's an obvious one. How can you impartially regulate an industry you financially benefit from? To be fair, the government has acknowledged this.
Oh, they have?
Yeah, in their 2025-2029 program, they committed to establishing an independent gambling authority. The idea is to spin that function out of the ministry entirely.
That would be a huge change. But let's look at the impact of the current structure, because this brings us to a shocking market anomaly. The monopoly model is, frankly, failing.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This is where you see the core dysfunction. Despite having the exclusive legal right to offer online casino games, the monopoly, Win2Day, captures only an estimated 30% of the market.
Wait, hold on. 30%. The only legal provider can't even get a third of the business.
Not even close.
So where's the other 70% going?
A huge chunk of it, about 35%, is going to unlicensed international operators.
So sites licensed in places like Malta or Gibraltar.
Exactly. And that revenue leak adds up to roughly 220 million euros, or $241 million a year, just flowing out of the legal taxable Austrian market.
That is definitive proof the monopoly isn't meeting consumer demand.
It's the clearest proof you could ask for.
And it's not just brand recognition, right? It's the product itself.
Of course. These international sites offer thousands of games, big sign-up bonuses, slick user interfaces. The monopoly offers a very, very narrow selection.
So if you can't find the game you want, you just go somewhere else.
You find a way. The
Yeah.
players vote with their wallets, and they're voting to go offshore. It's a direct consequence of a lack of competition.
And if that wasn't enough to scare off investment, let's talk about the taxes.
Oh, the taxes. The cost of doing business, even if you could get a license, is severe. Austria is one of the most expensive jurisdictions in the EU.
We should probably define a term here. We talk about GGR a lot. What is gross gaming revenue?
Sure. GGR is just the revenue an operator keeps after paying out all the winnings. So it's the total bets minus the payouts. It's their real top line.
And in Austria, the tax on that is?
A punishing 40% GGR tax for online casinos.
40%. Just to put that in perspective, that's often double, sometimes triple, what you'd see in competitive markets like the UK or Sweden.
It makes new investment in the licensed market almost impossible. The returns just aren't there, especially when you add the standard 25% corporate income tax on top.
And sports betting just got hit, too.
It did, hit hard. As of April 1st, 2025, the tax jumped from 2% GGR to 5% GGR.
150% jump.
A 150% jump. The government wants to hit a revenue target, but the immediate pressure on margins, well, it just risks pushing even more business into that gray market.
Now, a quick nugget of knowledge for you, the player, in all this. While the operators are getting hammered, there is a silver lining for consumers.
There is. Gambling winnings are generally not taxed for recreational players in Austria.
Which is highly favorable and helps explain why people are still playing so much, even with the limited legal options.
It gives them more money to play with, whether it's legally or not.
So speaking of the player, let's pivot. Who is this affluent, mobile-first Austrian consumer? What do they actually want?
The spending power is clear. The average revenue per user, or ARPU, is high, about $890 a year.
Okay, so they're engaged. And how are they playing?
On their phones. Mobile is completely dominant. It accounts for about 65% of all online gambling sessions.
So any platform has to be mobile-first, no question.
Absolutely. It has to be designed for it.
And their game preferences, I found this part fascinating. It's this mix of local loyalty and global trends.
It really is. They show this deep, almost institutional loyalty to local game developers, specifically Novomatic slots.
Like the Book of Ra series.
Book of Ra is king. It isn't just a popular game, it's a must-have for market acceptance. If you don't have it, you're not a serious option for many players.
It's like a digital institution. But while they love their local slots, the growth engine is much more modern.
Precisely. Live dealer games have just exploded. They're now capturing about 25% of all online casino revenue.
Live roulette, live blackjack.
Exactly. Players like them because they feel more transparent, more social, more authentic, something the Monopoly platform struggles to replicate.
And this digital literacy extends to how they pay, which in turn sets very high expectations.
For sure. Digital banking penetration is at 82%. They're comfortable online. They use cards, instant bank transfers like Sofort, and e-wallets like Skrill and Neteller.
And with that comfort comes an expectation of speed.
Speed is critical. Withdrawal processing time is the #1 reason players switch sites. They expect e-wallet withdrawals in 24 to 48 hours, maximum.
Anything slower and you lose them.
You lose their trust, and they move on to a site that prioritizes speed.
Okay, so we have a legal monopoly that has less than a third of the market, crushing taxes, and a super demanding mobile-first consumer base that prefers the competition. How is the government fighting back?
Enforcement has definitely gotten more aggressive. They've announced intentions to use two big tools against offshore sites: DNS blocking and payment processor restrictions.
Okay, can you quickly break down the difference?
Sure. DNS blocking is at the internet provider level. It just stops your browser from finding the website's address.
So you type it in and get an error page.
Right. Payment blocking is often more effective. It targets the money itself, making it impossible for Austrian banks to process deposits or withdrawals to those offshore operators.
And are they actually doing this?
The financial police are already active. They imposed fines of almost €1 million in just the first half of 2024 for illegal gambling.
But the truly unique risk for operators isn't a fine. It's this thing called player refund litigation.
That is the game changer. It's a huge financial exposure.
Explain the premise. It's pretty wild.
That's simple, really. Because the foreign online gambling is deemed illegal, Austrian courts have ruled that the contract between the player and the operator is void.
Meaning the player is entitled to get their losses back.
Every cent. This created a massive financial risk for those operators. We estimate it could be anywhere from 3% to 8% of their revenue.
And this legal fight actually spilled over and created a major conflict within the EU.
It did. It created a real rule of law battle. Malta, where many of these operators are licensed, tried to fight back in 2023 with something called Bill 55.
What did that do?
It basically said that if an operator was legally licensed in Malta, that license should block any Austrian court from demanding refunds. They were trying to protect their industry.
And the EU's response.
The European Commission opened infringement proceedings against Malta. They argued Bill 55 violates fundamental EU rules about recognizing judgments between member states.
So Austria's domestic monopoly fight has become a central EU legal problem.
A huge one. The stakes are incredibly high.
So we have this pressure point, the consumer failure of the monopoly, the legal battle. What does it all mean for the future?
The entire market is just holding its breath for the upcoming license tender.
The one for the license that expires in 2027.
Exactly. It should kick off late 2025 or early 2026. This is the moment everything could change.
And industry groups like the EGBA are pushing hard for liberalization, right?
Pushing very hard.
Yeah.
They point out that 21 EU countries have multi-operator systems now, which are way more successful at channeling players away from the black market.
The economic argument seems overwhelming.
It is. But the current political reality, looking at the coalition agreement, suggests a strong preference for further development of the monopoly.
So not liberalization.
It sounds a lot more like tweaking the monopoly than tearing it down. The political will to maintain control seems to still be incredibly strong.
But how long can that last? With 35% of the market offshore and the EU challenging their legal protections, aren't they just sacrificing hundreds of millions in tax revenue?
And that is the perfect summary of the Austrian paradox. You have every fundamental you need for a thriving market affluence, tech, high spending all pitted against these self-imposed regulatory barriers.
The monopoly, the 40% tax, the litigation risk.
It's all part of it. Austria is at a critical juncture. The system has to choose between control and prosperity.
So the billion-dollar question for you to think about is this. Will that political will to maintain a flawed monopoly, despite consumer preference, despite EU pressure, will it actually survive the 2027 tender?
Or will the sheer volume of black market money and consumer demand finally force Austria to become the competitive multi-operator market that its economy suggests it should have been all along?
That's the tension we'll be tracking.
Thank you for joining us for this analysis of the Austrian market.
For the full text of this and other country reports, visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com.